It is a great pleasure for me to welcome you back. Some of you are here with us just 3 weeks ago, so welcome back. And those who were not here, we want to welcome you for the first time. So welcome. It is a great pleasure to have somebody that is very well known. Um, it's I think it's because of her that many of you are here because you want to hear from her. She's full of wisdom, full of experience, full of knowledge as far as qualitative research and leadership are concerned. I will be sharing with you the code for those who want to have a certificate. You will claim that, and this is because, as you know, this webinar is free, so we don't give certificates to everybody, only for people who are interested in getting one. So you have 1 week. Please know that you have 1 week. Beyond that 1 week, you cannot claim that anymore. You'll have to wait for the next certificate, which will be probably three to 4 weeks from now. And so watch for that code. I will be sharing that sometime during this webinar. So watch for that when I give that information. Please, please, please know that you need to send me 2 things when you claim your certificate. A screenshot that shows your name attending, and then that code. That's how we know you were actually here, because somebody who was here who's watching the recording will not know that information. So let me introduce to you our guest. Our guest is Dr. Araceli Rosario. Some of you know her very personally. She is currently the president of the Adventist University of the Philippines, that is located right outside of Manila. For those who are not from the Philippines, it's just right outside of the capital city of the Philippines. Last year, I heard that she was, or was it this year? It must have been last year, that she was appointed as the mother of qualitative research. I think that should tell you who we have today. That's the mother of qualitative research, at least as far as the Philippines and Asia are concerned. That is how much qualitative research she knows. Her involvement in qualitative research includes mentoring people. I have personally seen her mentoring people, dissertation advising, and training people in qualitative research. I don't know if she would remember how many trainings she has given, because she has given so many in many different universities. She has spoken in many different conferences on qualitative research. In South Africa, for those who are joining from South Africa, maybe you have seen her there. In Portugal, we were together. We presented there. I think she's been there 2-3 times presenting in Portugal, and many other countries in Asia on qualitative research, and of course on leadership. One thing that I know she is extremely passionate about is photo voice. I think that I don't know if there's anybody else who has popularized photo voice in Asia more than she has. I know we have the original one from 1998 and 1997 who started photo voice, but as far as Asia is concerned, the only name I recognize is Dr. Araceli Rosario. We worked together to set up the Asian Qualitative Research Association, or ACRA. I was the founding president. She was the founding executive secretary. And when I left, she became the president until she left also that university where we started the ACRA. And so you're looking at the former president of ACRA. And I'm sure you still receive some communication, people asking you about ACRA, thinking you're still the president. Even for me, until now, I still respond to some questions about ACRA, although I left a long time ago. And the last thing that I want to highlight is that she was my co-editor for the SAGE Handbook of Qualitative Research in the Asian context. This is a major book that we published 2 years ago. Soon we'll be starting working on the second edition. Dr. Araceli So we will see how that goes. And it is a powerful book. You can search that on Google. The Sage Handbook of Qualitative Research in the Asian Context. It really tells you qualitative research, and not just for Asia, but how it is applied to the Asian context. So Dr. Ebenezer, welcome. Welcome you from Ghana. All right, so with this, let's get started. Let's dig in and start our conversation, Dr. Seli. So the first question I have for you, hold on. The first question I have for you is this. How did your journey in qualitative research start?
You will not believe, but I think my journey started when I was very small. The
Hmm.
reason for that is because my mother was an unstoppable storyteller. You do anything, wash dishes, weed in the cornfields, or gather firewood, she was always telling stories. Even while walking, for example, fetching water, she would tell stories. So it's like storytelling has become a part of me even from the time I was small. So I love stories. It became so natural for me to listen to stories. And I had that capacity to listen and not say anything. I think that's the mode always I get when I somebody tells stories, like my whole being gets glued into storytelling. And then I also loved writing stories. So it started when I had my master's degree. And so I asked, like, what should I do? Then the first thing that really came to my mind was I'll go home to my mother's home place and gather this oral literature
Hmm.
and document them, put them into, my dream was to put them into a book form. And so with my dissertation, I as well, I said, okay, I would like to learn from women university presidents and just listen to their stories. So that's how my journey with qualitative research started.
Wow. It's amazing that as you were starting this with your mom, you never had a clue that this is something that may end up becoming big in your life. And I don't think many of us will easily pinpoint to something very particular like that. That is even not related to academia at all. And we need to discover, so wait a minute, this is where it actually started. I don't know if you ever had the chance after you got your after you wrote your first qualitative research study to have this kind of conversation with your mom. I don't know if she's still alive or something, but it would be interesting.
Went with me. She left her home place in Iloilo when she was about like early 20s.
Mm.
And we came back together in 1993.
Okay,
That
okay.
was the first time she came back to that. But she was there. We gathered those stories together, and she asked me, like, why are you gathering these stories? Because I said, I recognize that you have such a wealth of stories I haven't found in anyone.
Mm-mm.
So and I just want to document these stories,
Wow, wow.
really. So she was very happy about that one, that her stories became an important part of my academic journey.
Wonderful, wonderful. And this is what we value in qualitative research. You see, when we do quantitative research, I'm not against quantitative research. In fact, my life right now, I'm doing a lot of quantitative research for my work. Uh, the fact is that in qualitative research, we don't try to think that we know it all. We have that level of humility to go. Can you imagine? Um, somebody doing a master's or doctorate and saying, Mom, I want you to help me collect my data, to help me with my research. She
Mm.
may have not had even a bachelor's degree. I don't know, maybe she did, but it's not
No,
this.
she was third grade.
Wow, wow, wow. I don't think that you'll find that kind of humility from the academe when we are doing quantitative research, because we come with a position of power. Anyway, so let's go to another question. Why are you so passionate about qualitative research? Before we started this conversation, I was having private conversation with her, and she said, you asked me two of my favorite topics, qualitative research and leadership. So we're going to talk about leadership later on, but why are you so passionate about qualitative research? Because I know if you mention that word in front of Dr. Arceli, she may actually forget her meal. So why?
It's so personal,
Mm,
very, very personal. I I would say that because this is me.
mm,
I mean, qualitative research and Arceli Rosario cannot be separated. When I think about myself, it's just qualitative research. Because as I said, that's who I am.
mm,
Part of my legacy from my mother. So this is me,
mm,
like telling stories, listening to stories. They are so uh very natural on my part.
mm,
So when I sit beside somebody, it's so easy for me to
yeah,
strike a conversation.
yeah.
Like, and then it's a gift, I believe, that even the first time I meet people, um they entrust me with their stories.
Mm, mm,
So, and I see that stories are very powerful. I can use it in my teaching. When I was a teacher, I used this one like, so how do you like our class today? You
mm,
know, and you tell me, was the class relevant to you? How was it relevant to you? I always talk to my students like this one. And so I did not even realize because, of course, in my bachelor's program, we didn't really do a proper research. So
mm,
I didn't realize that I was gathering data and I was using this data to improve my practice. And um, and I found it very exciting. Like you listen to people's stories, you listen to another person, another person, another person, and then you see like, oh, there's a pattern here. There's a
mm,
pattern. Like what this person is saying is that the person's story is almost similar. So almost similar. And then you look into, so what's different? Why is it different?
mm,
So it even became more meaningful when I have been given leadership roles,
mm.
particularly in my position now as president of the university. Yes, I do get some figures, but usually I say conduct an interview.
Okay, we're going to go to that later on, but let's rewind a little bit. That's exciting.
Mhm.
Um, as you were sharing, my mind goes to a number of countries, even continents, what whole continents, where oral communication is very common. And I think when we were starting the work with Accra, this was one of the driving forces, because personally I had discovered, as a foreigner, I had discovered that in the Philippines, people want to share stories. Everywhere you go,
Mm,
everybody has a story to share, and every story would always have some kind of lesson. And so when we were introducing in a much more systematic way qualitative research in the Philippines, I discovered that people immediately embraced that. I think it's because it was speaking to the culture,
mm,
something that they were already, that's something that was already uh, part of their identity. And it is sad when I go to certain countries where I can see people enjoy stories, just like which you shared, and yet everybody's told you must do quantitative research. If you don't do that, we're not going to accept anything other than quantitative research. Anything to say about
mm.
that?
Yes. Let me share an experience when I was uh, I will say believe vice president for academic affairs when one student from Mongolia came and he said, "You know, ma'am, I'm so frustrated. Why is it that during the break, people are not talking about the lesson?" I said, "Like, what lesson?" Well, formulas, equations.
Oh,
So I said, so what are the students talking about? He was referring to what's happening during the break at the hallways, you know. And I
mm,
said, they're talking about events. They're even talking about people. And I said, oh, yeah. I said, you know, here in the Philippines, it's like that. It's
mm,
like that. That's how people interact with each other. And I said, that's strange because in my country, we talk about the lesson, we talk about formulas. So I said, maybe that's unique for us Filipinos.
wow.
And then I realized, Dr. Safari, that for Filipinos, you know, in the Philippines, there's this common word here, marites.
Yes, I know
Marites,
that
you heard
word.
about that?
I know the
Marites,
word.
yeah, Marites is mare, comare, or
Yeah,
like friend. What
yeah,
is the latest
yeah,
news?
yeah,
Latest. So
yeah,
Marites.
yeah.
And I said, it's not actually bad.
Mm-mm. No.
To people's desire to tell their stories, people's desire to be heard.
Mm,
And you know, I'm now relating to why is it that qualitative research works best with marginalized groups?
mm,
Because the marginalized groups have so much stories to tell, and sometimes they want their voice to be heard. So they are so ready to tell a story.
mm,
Actually, when you interview, my experience, you know, when you go and interview people in marginalized groups, they are more open, no filter. They are more ready to tell their stories. Uh, Comparing perhaps with those who are not in the marginalized groups,
correct.
that desire to be heard. This is one reason I am passionate about, because we hear about silenced voices, and how else can we help
Yeah,
those whose voices are silenced?
yeah.
I think qualitative research is one of the best ways.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I fully agree with you. I had a similar experience. I conducted a study with the indigenous people in the Philippines, in Mindoro specifically. For those who are in the Philippines, they know where that is, Mindoro Occidental. And yes, people were begging to participate in the interviews. While people in the cities, they want to run away from your interviews. People say, "Can I also be part of your interviews?" Okay. In my mind, I have already enough data, but if somebody says, please interview me too, I have to just do that and hear their story because they want you to hear their story. And so
It's
that's
true. It's true.
let's see.
Let
Go
me,
ahead.
another one. You know, this feeling that you are an instrument to empower people. That's so powerful in qualitative research. So we had this photo voice. We conducted photo voice study in one of the here in the Luzon area, and the best testimony ever was this participant of ours. So you see, when you do photo voice, the last part is the photo exhibit, where you invite as many people in the community, and then the work is presented, and the participants even come. So actually, that is one study that is unique because we want to hide the identity of our participants. But here, you know, they go public. But uh, there were three of us in the team. One of our team members uh, tapped me on the shoulder and said, "Ma'am, look, one of our participants was coming." And our study was on teen motherhood, where in some areas of the Philippines, there is still stigma with those who are in this, experiencing this phenomenon. But, the comment of my fellow researcher uh, really brought tears in my eyes because she said, Mom, look,
Mm.
she is walking like a queen.
Wow, 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 wow,
And
wow.
so how do you transform this teen mother who a few days ago was quite uh, unsure about her status in life. And now, few days later, she walks
Yes,
before the public
yes, yes.
like a queen.
Empowerment,
So,
I think it's one of the major keywords that we always refer to in qualitative research. And personally, just like you, that's one of the reasons why I love qualitative research much more than quantitative research, is because we get to empower people. And in your case, the empowerment just happened. You saw the result of that just within days. In other cases, you have become the spokesperson. In fact, I'm writing another book right now that should be out next in the next few months, where I talk specifically about that. I emphasize the advocacy of when we are conducting qualitative research, because many times people we're working with, as far as qualitative research is concerned, these are people who have no voice, and
mm,
we carry their voice to the public so that people can help them, whether it's resources or their story will be known, their situation will be known, so that policies will be made to change their life, and so forth and so on. So all of us, please, let's always remember empowerment. Whenever we do qualitative research, how can we improve the lives of the people, the processes, the institutions, the community, the environment where we're conducting that study. Okay, let's connect now qualitative research to higher education. We're going to look at this from two different perspectives, Dr. Arceli. The first one is, how is it done? What is the relationship between qualitative research and higher education? What is the value of that in general? And then from there, I will want to hear, after that, we want to hear how you have used this for strategic planning in your university. But let's start
mhm,
with the role of qualitative research in a university. It's not just about writing thesis and dissertation. Why do we need qualitative research in higher education?
mhm. Yes. I want to begin by saying that among the levels of education, we have elementary in the Philippines. We have elementary, junior high school, senior high school, and then we have college, the tertiary level, higher education. Um, I was high school principal, and I moved to higher education. I'm beginning to understand that being a leader in higher education is much more complicated.
Mm,
I don't downplay the role of our basic education principles, but I just realized that there are just so many things to look into, particularly uh, in a boarding school. So, boarding school coupled with the multicultural presence, of students. So the intricacies are more difficult to navigate.
mm,
I see the role of qualitative as my tool to give me clarity.
mm,
For example, we you see one of our advocacies is work scholarship, you
mm,
know like we have students who work to finance their education. This is one of the most important uh, advocacy that advocacies that we have,
mm,
but it's so complicated.
mm,
Like, how do you get into the perspective of these work scholars? We call them work scholars.
mm, mm,
And I found that qualitative research is one way to do that. So we conduct interviews, we talk to them, because this way we get to hear their voice. You see, they are a marginalized group.
Mm,
and we understand, and I try to think like, how do I see their perspective?
mm,
I mean, as a leader, you do not force people to see your perspective,
mm, mm,
but somehow you want to also look through their eyes.
yeah.
And so that's one example in higher education, and so many others. Like, when you are dealing with faculty, there are several types of faculty. You have the adjunct, you have the part-time, you have the different types, and you are looking at, how do you deal with them fairly? How do you understand their perspective? Like the College of Medicine, their perspective is very different
Um,
from from the other colleges. The College of Dentistry, very different, because the profile of their faculty, is different. So yes, you get the numbers, you get the profiling using quantitative data, but the heart of the matter, it lies, in qualitative research. When you talk to them and listen to their stories, their realities, their perspective, I think that's very important. That's why there's this gap between leadership and different sectors in higher education, because we do not see their perspective.
mm. You have shared many different things where you can use qualitative research. I was expecting you'll mention accreditation. If you can share with us how qualitative research plays a role in accreditation.
Mm-hmm. Um, this time, I'm not really in charge of accreditation,
Mhm,
but I know what is happening there. Usually in accreditation, what we do is we do focus groups.
mhm,
Yeah, we do focus groups to because accreditation is more on, first, you begin with internal assessment.
mhm,
You assess where you are. Yes, there is this instrument where you answer one, two, three, four, I think. But aside from that, we just do not uh, go with the figures. We come together and say, why do you think we are only number one here? What can we do? And usually you do this months before your accreditation, right? And you come together and say, oh, okay, so we are only one here, we are only two. We do not want to stay this way. So how can we become four here? What do we do? So this kind of conversation. And the good thing about doing this one is, it's like it is looking into yourselves.
mhm,
So the impact of that in higher education is the faculty and staff do not perceive this as directives coming from the leadership,
mhm,
but it is an initiative on their part.
mhm.
And then usually tell us, we need this, we need this, we need this, we need to do this, we need to do this. And
Yeah,
so it's so easy.
yeah, yeah. We cannot just take the numbers alone and say we got
That's true.
the complete picture. And this is you will laugh when I tell you this has been the major challenge in my current job because Dr. City knows what the work I'm doing, because it's primarily quantitative. And many times I see areas that okay, we need more information in this area. We need more information in this area. I said, do we have budget for follow-up, for interviews, so that we know what is happening behind these figures? Because this, we can all agree that these figures don't make sense. We need to know the background story. And it's been funny when I was, it was funny when I was told, no, we don't have any money for follow-up studies. And so this is it. You just have to live with that. But really, qualitative research, even if we want to capture that big picture with quantitative data, we need qualitative research to understand certain things that are not making sense, or they are way too good to be true, or they are just surprisingly negative. And we want to look into that. Let's go to the
Mhm.
institutional strategic planning.
Mhm.
How do we use qualitative research for strategic planning? I know earlier this year, I visited your university for where we had a conference, and I remember you sharing with me a lot of good things you had done using qualitative research for strategic planning. Until then, I had never heard any leader, any university president or vice president telling people that we use qualitative research for strategic planning. So this is the whole reason why we're here. How do you do that?
Yes. Uh, there are several ways to do strategic planning. One of the common ways is that you get a copy from the previous, shall we say, quinquennium. That's what we do. Okay. So if the strategic plan is, shall we say, 2021 to 2025, what you do is, okay, so give me a copy of that one, and then we will prepare for 2026, 2030. And so what you do is to read there and okay, this one is good. Okay, this one we revise this one, and then you are done, right? What we did when we started here, the good thing was uh we had some students from IAS who are here at AUP, and they are very good with appreciative inquiry. So we said, why don't we use this framework to collect data that will be useful for our strategic plan? I asked Dr. Isguera and Dr. De Guzman to do this. So what we did was we had, during our faculty meeting, so it was a big number. We divided them into groups. We were even debating, like, shall we put them together as one department, or will it be a mix? So we had like one question, and that's the best practice phase. Okay, may I run through for the sake of our attendees here? We followed the 4D design of appreciative inquiry. So we have the discovery of best practices. That's the first phase. The second phase is the dream phase. And then the third phase is the design phase, and then the destiny phase. So with the discovery, we put them together, coming from different departments. And so they brainstormed. The question was, what do you like about AUP? The best things that are happening here. So they had very long list, and then we put the data together, and as expected, they had almost the same answers. Yes, so amazing that they value almost the same things. And then for the dream phase, we put those coming from one department together. Are your dreams for your department? That's one. What are your dreams for the university? And we also did this with the student leaders. We got also the student leaders. And then we had the design phase, and then we had the destiny phase. So all of these 4 phases, we got very rich data. The good thing, again, is that these people who are working with me are very good also in the data analysis. So it was so easy. And then another good news I had, Dr. Sfari, was another student of ours from also from IAS came to be the what was her title? Like assistant to the administration in strategic planning. She came.
Wow.
And so she put all the work together. We still use the same format, made some changes, but we still use the previous strategic plan, but the 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 data was so rich, so that it's so informed by perspectives from the ground. So now it's so easy for us to implement because they are recognizing their suggestions. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for sharing that experience. It's something that is unique. And I want to let everybody know that we'll be opening up for questions. If you have questions now, within the next 5 minutes, we'll start taking the questions. Before I go to another question for Dr. Arceli. And I want to share as well the information that you need to request your certificate. If you want certificate, you don't have to, but if you need one, I'm putting that information right now in the chat area. So if you need that, email us. The email address is there. The code is there. I'm not going to say it because it's only if you are attending that you can claim this. And email us within 1 week. So if I were you, I will email today or tomorrow. But don't wait beyond 1 week. If you do, then we will not be able to issue that. Dr. Arceli, you have done something that is out of the ordinary. I want, as you were sharing with me, it's like it was a total transformation on how strategic planning is done. What challenges did you face in the process, and how did you deal with them, so that if there's anybody else from this platform who wants to use what you did, they know what to expect and how to prepare for that?
Uh-huh. I cannot really pinpoint a challenge because I think one challenge that a president can have, if there are no nobody, there's nobody that can assist her or him. But in my case, I had this faculty here who are really experts in the design, experts also in data collection and in data analysis. Then there came this somebody to really put them together. The challenge there would be, if you cannot do these things. Maybe one challenge that not really a big one, but something that delayed somehow, because you see, I expected we could do this one in 3 months. But we started data collection August, because it goes by phases. You see, phase 1, then another meeting for phase 2, another meeting for phase 3. In fact, the phase 2 and phase 3 we did together. And we did this with the faculty and staff. Then we did this with another group for the design phase, and the destiny phase. We did with deans and chairpersons and supervisors. And for the students, we did also several meetings. So maybe we had a total of like, how many? 3 meetings with students, 2 meetings with full faculty, and you can imagine the data that you have to analyze. We have about about 480 full-time faculty and staff, and plus our adjunct and part-time, you have a total of 800. So you can imagine the bulk of the data that we were analyzing. So the data collection alone, like, how do you bring these people together? So it took time. And I think we were able to finalize, like, put the final strategic plan ready for board was, I believe it was like already August. No, March. And we started in August. So it's a long process.
So this is a long process. By the way, again, if you have a question, please post it in the chat area. We're going to entertain that very soon. This is a long process. And I think this again demonstrates the time that it requires for qualitative research. And that's the reason why some people who are into quantitative research, they don't want to do qualitative research, because it takes way too much time. It takes a long time. And in your case, you had to do a lot of data collection. But I want to believe this is one of the reasons why you give much more preference to focus group discussions, because then you can have voices from many different people at the same time. But the question is, another question is, how did you manage to analyze all this data? Because it's just so much data coming in. I mean, 400 plus faculty full time, and then more than 800 when you combine it with part-time faculty.
Mhm.
How did you manage to analyze that data? Did you hire a team of people to do that? How did you do that?
We had, so it's focus group. I think like 6 to 8 people in each group. And the way we analyzed was, because this is like so what things do you like? So it's more on what concepts are appearing, like content analysis.
Mm,
So what do you have? So you like heavenly music appearing, and what are your dreams? So we have, it's not really very difficult because, as I said, those who were helping me were already experienced in data analysis. We did not even use a software.
wow.
We did not use a software. Yeah, we did it by hand. And I also did the data analysis. So there were like three of us doing the data analysis.
Oh, that's amazing. But that's just too much data to deal with. Did you collect any data other than interviews, focus group discussions? Do you collect like the documents and stuff like that? Because in qualitative research we use all these different types of sources of data.
Yes, we use the previous, what is this? Strategic plans. There
Mhm.
were several documents that we used because they were into, how do you call this one? Several, I don't know if you heard about ISA,
Yeah, yeah.
AUP underwent all of those. So we look into these documents as well. Yeah.
So you were able to use actually more than just the interviews and
Mm-hmm.
focus on discussions, but you use other sources, which is what we talk about in qualitative research. Triangulation is very important. It helps improve the trustworthiness of the study. Not just a pure qualitative research study, but even in this case, it was a project for strategic planning. How did the people from, I know you have a department of engineering department, then the mathematics, you have sciences. How did they view this as an approach to strategic planning? I know their minds function primarily in with quantitative research, quantitative data.
Mhm. Surprisingly, I did not hear any opposition to the process. The people appreciated the involvement. Yeah, I cannot remember, people saying that, oh, why are we meeting? Why are we uh I sense that kind of what is this one? Excitement. Especially that, for example, we gathered, what do you like about AUP? What are the best practices that you value? What are the practices that you value at AUP? What
Mhm.
we did was to share the data during the next meeting.
Mm.
Yeah, so we did not wait until the strategic plan was finished. I mean, the document was finished. We shared with them, every faculty meeting. We shared like the best practices, and so there was like affirmation, so that there was this positive response because they were recognizing, and it's that feeling of, yeah, we said that, so the others also recognize that one. And
Yeah.
then in the dream phase we also shared, so these are our dreams,
Mm,
you
mm.
see. So they were identifying, yeah, we also like that to happen, or
Yeah.
oh yes, that's our suggestion. And so that's also the suggestion of many people. So when finally we put this in the document, and you know what we are doing, every faculty meeting, which we do like 3 times. No, this time we are doing it monthly.
Mhm.
You know what we do? Because the community, I mean, the faculty and staff and the students cannot cannot load all this information of how many pages do we have? I think more than 60 pages for a strategic plan.
Oh, wow.
I mean,
Wow.
they cannot digest all these things. But it is so easy for them because we say this is our main thrust.
Mm,
And we always anchor everything we say on we are doing this program because it is our strategic initiative.
mm, mm, mm,
We are doing this program because it's part of our strategic plan. And every time we have a meeting, there is this time we call the president's hour. And during the president's hour, that's the time that I give a report, and I always frame my report in the framework of the strategic plan.
mm.
So it's so easy for them. Yeah, so that one now is done, or that one is ongoing. And that's my suggestion. That's my dream. So you see, there's an ownership now of the vision because it's rooted from the faculty and staff.
Fantastic, because this is again something that if you did just strongly agree, strongly disagree, you may not clearly see that somewhere, but some of the ideas that you personally came up with as a faculty or staff or students in that some cases, you see that, oh wow, they have implemented that. I'm the one who actually came up with that idea. Oh, I was there when that statement was made. Oh my goodness, it's amazing they have actually
Yes.
captured that. Before I comment on what you just said about the people in engineering science, let me just remind everyone again, if you want to claim the certificate, send that code and the email address is there, and send a screenshot that shows you participating. Please, some people have been sending either the screenshot alone or the code alone, and we will not issue that. So you need to do two things. You need to send two things: code and your screenshot that shows your name or your photo. And I want to let you know that in 9 minutes, we are going to finish. And so if you haven't asked your question, we will not take that anymore. But I have requested Dr. Arceli. I know she has some friends on this platform, people who have worked with her, have been her students, to stick around for 10 minutes just to say hi to her. So at 8:10 Philippine time, here it will be 7. I mean, it will be 9:10 in the Philippines, and here it will be 8:10. We will take just the 10 minutes after the end of the conversation. When you were talking about the STEM people not resisting, and I wanted to emphasize more on that. Sometimes when we are into qualitative research and we say, we will not involve people who are in STEM, who are in science, technology, math, and so on, engineering, because for them it's just numbers. It is true, their brain works primarily with numbers. I remember being invited in Calamba, which is outside of Manila, for those who are not in the Philippines, um, to give a training, 3 days training on qualitative research. It was one of my early trainings. It was 2014, 15, is around there. And they didn't tell me that about 60, 70, 80% of the people were engineers, engineering faculty, not even just students, engineering faculty. And here I was giving illustrations in education because they have a faculty and everything. And then after the first whole day, the host calls me and said, hey, listen, um, most of the people we have here are engineers. They're engineering faculty, they are technology faculty, they are STEM faculty. I said, why didn't you tell me that before I even accepted the invitation? Because this is the first time I have ever been invited to give a qualitative research training to engineers. I want to tell you that after 3 days, each one of them said, I will never do innovation without qualitative research anymore,
Mhm.
because it's not about just innovation. We need to know how it is affecting people. We need to talk to them. When we try that, we need to hear their voices, because yes, it may solve the problem scientifically speaking, but is it actually helping them culturally, socially? I was telling them, just imagine you create something that will help with it with the electricity issues in the village, but only to discover that now they will have this TV that has a lot of crime and criminality increases in the village that they didn't have because they never saw that on TV because they didn't have TV. Oh, wow, we never thought about that. I said, so do you want to actually give them this electricity without dealing with the potential negative issue of your innovation? You need to look into that negative aspect as well. While you're solving this issue, you need to know why, what could be the potential negative effect of that. So it's good that even the faculty in the STEM programs at your university have not resisted that because they can relate, even if they think with the numbers, but when they hear the stories, they are able to connect that from the stories that they are hearing. There's somebody here, Rachel or Rachel, who said, I just wanted to ask, it was appreciative inquiry model that was used, and it looks into strengths of the organization. How about the weaknesses of the organization? How can appreciative inquiry be used? Or can it be used in knowing problems so that it can be improved? This is a common question in appreciative inquiry.
Yeah, yeah. So in appreciative inquiry, we begin with the positive, right? By asking ourselves, like, so what are the things that you like most here? What do you value here? In other words, we are discovering the best in the organization. And so our concern is now, how do we know the problems? Well, the dream phase actually is the problem phase. The only thing is it gets so exciting because you start with something positive and you continue with something positive by asking, so what are your dreams? A person dreams of something that is not there, correct? Or a person dreams of improving something that does not work very well. But because it is so positive, we are not engaging in blaming, in playing I know better, which this kind of attitude stifles the creativity of people and douses the fire of innovation, of creativity. You, I mean, like you have to experience it to see how exciting it gets, you know? Like you have these people of 6 or 8 being asked, what are your dreams for your department? Dream anything, anything. So it's so funny, like they laugh and they say, let's say, like, let's build a zip line here in this area. And they think, well, that's really a wild dream. So they laugh.
Yeah.
But for us here at AUP, that is about to happen. We are, Dr. Safari, we are developing our campsite. And we are thinking of, wow, how about this zip line? You know, because the best ideas come when we are in the positive
Yes.
mode or mood. When it's so, so exciting, when we're so free, when it's like just making fun, you know, just thinking of impossible, but we get to write it because in a way we are free to write anything crazy. It's so electrifying for me to see different focus groups laughing because they have thought of something crazy.
Yeah.
So it's so enjoyable.
Okay.
And when they see, particularly when they see problems solved, because they express this in a dream form, I think everybody is happy because what kills an organization is when negativity is being fed.
Yeah. Thank you very much for your sharing. And I think you have addressed the question that Dr. Namanya had asked of how to get people excited. I know we have only 1 minute. If you want to take 30 seconds, you have kind of indirectly addressed that. How do you get people to participate in this study? Not just here, I think it involves not just for strategic planning, but in qualitative research in general.
Oh, okay. Based on my experience, I think Dr. Safari has mentioned that in the Philippines, it's not a problem.
Mm.
Fortunately, when we identify participants, it's like they get excited. And in fact, as Dr. Safari said, also me, I want to participate also. So we don't experience that dearth of participants or being turned down. If we are turned down here in the Philippines, it may be because of conflict of schedules, but otherwise, based on my experience, it's always a yes.
Yeah. People want their voices to be heard. And as long as it is something that is relevant to them, and that's the bottom line when you're doing your selecting your criteria, doing your selection criteria, you make sure that you get people who are relevant to your study. So you're talking about things that they know, things they're passionate about, things that they care about. So chances are that they are going to say yes. But yes, it also depends on the country. Like here in the United States, again, you have to go to probably remote areas, but people who are in big cities, just like Manila, not everybody will be excited about participating in your study because they're extremely busy people. But in general, people want to participate. I will give you just 30 seconds, Dr. Aseli, to say any concluding thought. Sorry for those who are asking at this point. We cannot answer that because we have just run out of time. But if you want to talk to her, just stick around. We're going to close this after her concluding thought, and then we will have just everybody who can greet her. But Dr. Aseli, your concluding thought in 30 seconds. What do you want us to remember from using qualitative research in strategic planning?
Mhm. I have used qualitative research firstly to transform my life, how I look at people. Now that I'm engaged in qualitative research, I think I am more attuned to how people think, how people feel. I'm listen and look through their perspective, and that has helped me really as a leader. It's so easy to become defensive, to become hurt, offended, but when you are a researcher, it will really prevent you from going that way because you know that this is data.
Mm-hmm.
Any information that is given to you, whether positive or negative, it's data, and data is neutral. And you are always in search of data as a leader because data guides you in making decisions. So, qualitative research for me as a leader is my tool, and as a person has transformed my way of thinking. So in strategic planning, it has helped me because the way now that the strategic plan of AUP was formed, it's rooted in data. So we know that what we are doing is relevant because it's from the realities of the people that we serve. And we also evaluate our strategic plan where we are based also on data. We have some quantity data, but we also have some qualitative data. And by the way, we do not hesitate to revise our strategic plan based on data.
Wonderful. Thank you